Thanks for coming back to the channel. Today I got a great video for you on Vlookup and Iferror. So let's get to it. Let's get right into it here. So let's say you've got a rep and he comes to you and he says, hey, I've got these invoice numbers. Can you tell me how much we charged on each one of them and how much the total was? You say, absolutely. So for this, we would use the Vlookup function. It's appropriate in this situation. So you equals Vlookup. And the lookup value is your invoice number. That's the key. That is the unique value for which we want to search what a component of that is. So we hit this, the lookup value. Then the next argument, comma, table array. That's this table of data that we have here. And typically you would want to, you don't have to select all of it. You could, since you only want to get the dollar amount, you could do it to here. However, I've found in many cases where you're building spreadsheets that are bigger, that you want to include more data in, or you want to whatever, if you leave these out, you may want them in another iteration of the formula, so it's easier to just copy the whole table. So in this case, we're going to lock it. We're going to hit F4 to lock it. So what that does is that as we copy this formula down, it will always look in the same exact place, as opposed to moving this down. So then we would hit and comma. Now this is a little confusing, but not really. The column index number, that is the number of columns over from, it's actually not the number of columns over, it's the number of the column in which the data we want to return is located. So in this case, this is column 1, 2, 3, 4. And a common mistake is sometimes people will count 1, 2, 3, and then they'll end up getting what's in this column here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to say false because you want an exact match to this invoice number. So since this invoice number is similar, this 20,001 is similar, it may kick this number back first instead of this number. So you want to have an exact match. So you're gonna click false, or type in false. Close it up, hit enter, and then we're going to copy this down. And notice if you go into this one, you still are looking at this number. So let's go back and do this the other way. Let's say that we didn't do this. I'm going to take out these dollar signs. And let's say, now in this case we didn't get an error message. However, if you look down here, it's moved that table. So what we want to do, we want to be sure that when you're doing something, if you're looking for multiple values in the same table of data, you want to make sure that you lock this in place. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to go here. F4. Enter. And we're going to go back. Copy it down. So now it's all in the same place. Okay. So let's say that your rep gives you a number that is not correct. He's got an error in it. So let's say in this case, he leaves that at 0. You've got an error. And look at what it does down here, where we had it summed up. it gives you an error message. So what we're going to do is, in order, because what happens is it looks through here and it finds the error, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's an error in your data up here, so we've got to tell you about it down here. Well, in this case, what you can do is you can use something called the Iferror function. So this is a function that goes in and you put it in front of your operation, and what it does is it says it looks for this number, but if for whatever reason it can't find it, instead of generating an error, it will put in this cell whatever you tell it to put in here. So in this case, we're going to go to the front of the formula. We're going to hit if error, open parentheses. So it's if error, and it's the value, which is your formula, what you were doing. And if that returns an error, then in this cell we're going to put, you're going to do open quotes. If you're going to do copy, you're going to say, if you're going to do text, you say open quotes, not found, and then you're going to close it, hit enter. Okay, and then we're going to copy this down, and watch what happens here and here. So it says not found, but we still get the total down here. Now, before you send this back to your rep, you're going to look at this and say, well, wait a minute, why is this not found? And then you can go and you can examine it and say, oh, okay, there was an error in here. Now, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was that he, in this case, you'd probably be able to see, yeah, he's missing a 0. But let's say he had 200, 93. It's still an error. So in this case, you wouldn't see it, but you'd be able to scan this data, the return, and say, oh, it's not in here, and you tell him, or you can just send this back to your rep, say, hey, okay, this is what I got. So you print this out, email it back, whatever. So in any case, a couple great little functions. They work well together. And if you have any, if you enjoyed the video, please hit a thumbs up. And please subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates in terms of when a new material comes out. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a suggestion as far as what you might like to see, what functions you might like to see, if there's other applications, other shortcuts, other things, if you have a contribution to this, by all means leave a comment. We thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time.